It's all a scam. You know what the key is to building a fortune? It's not intelligence or connections or even timing. It's the willingness to do what others won't and not letting anything stand in the way, including morals and principles. Jermaine found this out the hard way while at work making a delivery. It's 2008 and Jermaine is pulling into a Stop and Shop convenience store right off the highway about 9 in the morning. His raggedy pickup truck knocked and sputtered as he backed into one of the parking spaces by the front door. Hopping out the truck, he grabbed a stack of newspapers from the bed of the truck and toted them inside. On his way out, an older black man wearing a white dress shirt that looked like it was too big for him, black slacks that were full of wrinkles, and a black tie came strolling over holding a bucket that had a picture of a church taped to the front of it. "Excuse me, my brother, I'm from the 8th Street Baptist Church," the old man said with a smile as he shook Jermaine's hand. "We're trying to raise money for a new sanctuary so that we can reach more souls. Anything you can contribute would be gratefully appreciated." In that moment, Jermaine felt like God was watching, so he reached for his wallet and cracked it open. He had only one old $5 bill that was partially ripped at Lincoln's head and a phone number scribbled on it left. He placed the $5 in the bucket and said, "Here you go, bro. Thank you, my brother. You have sown a seed that God will return to you tenfold. God bless you and have a nice day," the old man said with a big smile as he headed outside to catch anybody driving up. Jermaine hopped back in his truck and continued his rounds. He dropped the papers off store after store, starting far west and making his way toward downtown Dallas and the home office. At noon, he would normally stop at the Star Cafe. They had a cheap burger special for $3.99 that included fries and a drink. It wasn't until he pulled into the parking lot that he remembered he gave away his last $5. Searching his pockets for change, all he could find was 50 cents. Enough to buy a honey bun, and that's it. So he saw a liquor store across the street from the cafe. He stepped into the liquor store and saw the same old man from earlier buying a pint of whiskey. That old man handed the cashier that same torn-up $5 bill with the phone number scribbled on it. "Son of a bitch," Jermaine mumbled to himself just as his stomach began to growl. Jermaine stood at the door blocking the exit of the old man as he said, "I guess the church is using whiskey for communion instead of grape juice now." The old man smiled and replied, "Sounds like you got some sour grapes of your own. I didn't force you to give that money, you did it on your own. Don't hate the player, hate the game." Jermaine looked down while shaking his head as he replied, "But you're supposed to be a Christian. Don't the Bible say something about not being drunk?" "God said don't be drunk of wine. He didn't say shit about whiskey," the old man joked as he squeezed past Jermaine and slithered out the door. After finishing his deliveries, Jermaine went home to his shabby-looking apartment with paper-thin walls. His roommate Darius was sitting on the couch playing video games when he came in. With his blue horn-rimmed glasses and New York Mets hat on, Darius looked like a broke Spike Lee. "What's up, bro? I finally made it to level 3 on Zelda," Darius shouted out with excitement. Jermaine shifted through his mail and found his latest bank statement. He had less than $20 in there, not even enough to get money from an ATM. He looked at the phone bill that had last notice in red on the front. He didn't bother to open it up. He went to the refrigerator and opened it to find it empty. Jermaine was mad all over again for giving that old man his last dollar. Pouring himself a glass of water from the tap, he said, "You won't believe what happened to me today. I gave some money to one of these Christian dudes with the little donation bucket, like the ones the Salvation Army uses. A couple of hours later, I caught the fool buying a drink 40 at the liquor store." Darius laughed as he said, "I'm not surprised, it's all a scam." Jermaine stepped closer, hanging on Darius' words as he asked, "What's a scam?" Darius put down his controller and gave Jermaine his full attention as he said, "Religion. Look, you know I grew up in the church. Tuesday Bible study, Wednesday choir practice, church on Sunday, meetings, bake sales. It was my life." "Yeah, I remember. So what changed?" Jermaine inquired. Darius let out a slight chuckle as he replied, "I started paying attention to the little things around the church, like we've been raising money for the same building fund since before I had hair on my balls, and no new building, yet the pastor has a brand new Cadillac every year." Jermaine cracked a smile and joked, "A pimp in the pulpit, huh?" "Shit, you don't know the half, homeboy." Matter of fact, I don't think there's much difference with our pastor and the neighborhood pimp. Think about it. They both shop for their suits at the same store. They both wear pinky rings. They are both followed by a trail of women. They both collect cash money at the end of the week. And they got you convinced that the more money you give, the better your life will be. They both know how to tell you exactly what you want to hear. Selling you a pie in the sky promise for a brighter tomorrow that never comes, and guilt tripping you into staying with them into perpetuity. Jermaine rubbed his chin and said, I never thought about it like that. Darius also revealed, and that ain't all. I noticed we always had lessons from the same parts of the Bible. You know, Noah's Ark, Moses leaving Egypt, David and Goliath, the same stuff. It wasn't until I actually picked up the Bible for myself and read it from cover to cover that I realized it's some crazy stuff in there done in the name of God that doesn't make any sense. And I think these pastors and priests know this, but they will never tell you. Why? Jermaine asked on pins and needles. Yeah, they don't want you thinking, they want your ass giving. It's just like that line in your favorite movie, Car Wash, when Richard Pryor was playing the pastor, and him and the Pointer Sisters were trying to convert Bill Duke, and they told him, you got to believe in something, why not believe in me? Darius joked as he sang the line over and over again, just like the Pointer Sisters did in the movie. But Jermaine wasn't laughing. Darius's words resonated. Then Jermaine looked at the dining room table that looked like it would fall apart with a stiff breeze. He looked at those stack of bills on the counter and wondered how he was going to pay them. He worked his ass off delivering newspapers, and he barely had 2 nickels to rub together. Then he got a bright idea. What if I start my own church? Darius smiled while shaking his head. You a pastor, that's funny. Why not? That clown I met earlier convinced me to give him my last $5. You're telling me I can't do the same. I can be charismatic, a good leader. I got a great singing voice. All I need is the style and the words. And you already said they always using the same lessons over and over again. Darius started entertaining the idea as he responded, yeah. Well, teach them to me and let's make this money, Jermaine said with a devilish smile as he dapped up Darius. Jermaine spent the next few days watching different preachers on television like Creflo Dollar, Benny Hinn, Joel Osteen, and T.D. Jakes. He studied their mannerisms, style, and speech patterns, taking a little bit from each one of them to build his own style. He wanted the flair of Hinn and Dollar, but he wanted to focus on the message of prosperity like Osteen, figuring people would be more apt to listen to his message if he always spoke positive than scaring them about hell. And then he would get in front of a mirror and start practicing like he was an actor preparing for a part on a Broadway show. Next, Darius started walking Jermaine through a couple dozen Bible stories, writing down the highlights and organizing them like cliff notes for Jermaine to study. Then he would quiz him on basic knowledge like who cut off Samson's hair, name the 12 disciples. What's Abraham's son name? Who turned into a pillar of salt? What was Paul's name before he changed it? And Jermaine soaked it all up like a sponge, especially the parts about giving. He learned those scriptures inside and out. Finally, Darius took Jermaine to Randy's Ready to Wear. He got him a black suit and several different colored dress shirts and handkerchiefs. Since Jermaine was broke, he could wear the same suit every week and just change out the shirt and nobody would know the difference. With his new threads, new words, and new style, Jermaine hit the streets preaching the word with his hands out, and it worked. He got enough in donations from street preaching that he quit that paper route. A few months later, he rented a meeting room at the YMCA and started having church there every Sunday. Jermaine would get up in front of the people and passionately tell them how blessed their lives can be, how much they could achieve, that nothing was impossible if they trusted God and gave to his church, and God would return their money tenfold. His famous line was, "Are you ready? Here comes the blessing." And then Jermaine would wind up like a pitcher and act like he was throwing prosperity into the audience. And the crowds ate it up. The congregation grew and grew. They couldn't get enough of his positive message, and he couldn't get enough of their money. A year later, he opened a small church called the New Missionary Church, and Jermaine always joked the mission was to transfer the money from your pocket to his, and that money helped him to move out of that raggedy apartment and into a nice 3-bedroom house in the suburbs. He went from that broken down truck that people were humming the theme song to Sanford and Son when he rolled down the street to a new Buick LeSabre. Another year went by, and the church got so big that Jermaine and Darius had to hire a full staff and have multiple services. They capitalized on anything to make money, starting with giving preferential treatment to his highest givers, guaranteeing them parking up front and blocking off the first 3 rows of the pews for them. And for those exceptional contributors, Jermaine had the Take Up Your Cross wall of fame, where you would get a gold jacket and a framed picture of you on the wall of the church entrance. Next, he put tap water in vials, calling it abundance water, and sold them on infomercials at night for $5 a pop. Jermaine convinced people that all they had to do was sprinkle the water on anything their heart desired, and God would deliver it to them. Then they brought in a highly sought-after choir director from Mississippi to record an album and take their choir on a concert tour. And with the money flowing into the church, Jermaine was all smiles, greeting every member after every service with a hug and words of affirmation. One of those days, a cute young black lady wearing a long conservative dress with her hair in a bun held up the line and said, "Can I have a word with you, Pastor?" Flashing a grin that was as phony as a wooden nickel, Jermaine ushered her to the side and replied, "Sure, my sister. How can I help you, miss?" Vanessa Blackman, my father, Darnell Blackman, who has been a loyal member since you started the church and has given generously, was just diagnosed with dementia. "Oh, so sorry to hear that about a faithful member like Mr. Blackman," Jermaine interjected with fake sincerity. "Thank you, Pastor. Well, he has forced to quit his job and we filed the paperwork to get him on disability, but he is struggling and my father is too proud to ask. So I was wondering, what programs do you have in place to help him?" That's a good question. My assistant Darius is probably better equipped to answer that question. Why don't you give me your number and I'll have him get in contact with you, Jermaine replied. Vanessa wrote down her number and handed it to Jermaine. After putting it in his pocket, Jermaine said, "Trust and believe that God will make a way, and I will keep the both of you in my prayers." Wiping the trickle of tears that rolled at her soft cheeks, Vanessa said, "Thank you so much, Pastor." Jermaine gave her a hug, and it was on to the next parishioner, on and on, just like the Erykah Badu song. Nameless face after nameless face in the crowd that Jermaine gave hugs and comforting words to as the years continued to fly by. By the time 2018 rolled around, Jermaine had a full-fledged megachurch with over 10,000 members. $100,000 came through the church coffers every week. Jermaine upgraded again from that Buick to a Range Rover. He now had a 5,000 square foot house on the lake with a breathtaking view. He wore Brooks Brothers suits, diamond rings, and Rolex watches. He dined with dignitaries, counseled governors, and was interviewed by everybody from Dan Rather to Barbara Walters. Jermaine was unstoppable. After another successful service, Jermaine was walking to his car on a chilly afternoon when he was approached by a lady. With a focused and determined look, she walked with purpose as she stormed over, waving her arms to get Jermaine's attention as she said, "Excuse me, Pastor, can I have a word?" Jermaine flashed a smile as he continued to his car while unlocking the door with his key fob while saying, "Sorry, dear, I'm in a rush. Call the receptionist and she can make you an appointment." The lady stepped in front of his path, blocking his entry to his truck as she snapped, "You better make time." Jermaine's eyes looked the woman up and down while trying to maintain his forced smile as he said, "Okay, how can I help you, my sister?" Shaking her head, she replied, "You don't even remember me, do you?" Jermaine searched his memory as hard as he could, but he couldn't place her face. She exhaled loudly and said, "I'm Vanessa Blackman. I talked to you about my father Darnell a couple of years back. Remember, I told you he had dementia, and I asked you about the programs you had to help him, and you said someone would get in touch with me." Jermaine had no clue what she was talking about, but he nodded anyway, said, "Oh yeah, I remember. How is your father doing?" Vanessa lowered her head and pushed out a breath before saying, "He died a couple of months ago, but you wouldn't know since you never bothered to follow up." Jermaine just stood there speechless. You know my father loved this church. He came every Sunday until he couldn't. He gave to you faithfully. His dream was to have his picture on your precious wall. He was still giving you tithes out of his goddamn disability check. That man barely had enough food to eat, couldn't remember what day it was, but he made sure to drop off his tithes and offering, and you took that money every damn time. And what did he get from you, huh? A phone call, maybe a visit, someone to bring a hot meal or do a Bible study with him. No, he didn't get a fucking thing. Jermaine looked over both shoulders to see if anyone was around. Service ended an hour ago, and everyone except for his secretary, who was still in the building, was gone. He stepped closer and looked deep into her brown eyes and calmly said, "A long time ago, a man claiming to be a Christian asked me for a donation. I gave that man my last $5. A few hours later, I caught him spending that money on whiskey at the liquor store. And I was furious, just like you are now. You know what that man told me. I didn't force you to give me that money, just like I didn't force your old man to give me that money either." Vanessa just rolled her eyes. Jermaine continued, "The seed was planted in my mind and your father's well before that. We as a people were brainwashed, indoctrinated a long time ago to be good God-fearing folks. To do as we were told, turn the other cheek, don't worry about money, it's the root of all evil, and question nothing going all the way back to slavery time. Meantime, white men got rich off our labor and did whatever the hell they wanted, including burning crosses on our yards, and yet we'll pray for them fools. You think they ever prayed for us? Fuck no. Religion is a scam. It's all about money and control. So, I figured, since my people are going to give away their money to this white religious institution, that money is better off in my hands." Tears started rolling down Vanessa's eyes as she shook her head in disbelief. She reached into her purse and pulled out a gun. Her delicate hands started to tremble as she took aim at Jermaine. She finally managed to say, "You could have told the people that." Jermaine was unfazed by the brandishing of the weapon as he said, "People are not interested in truth, they're interested in comfort, so I make people feel comfortable. Look, your father is gone and I'm sorry about that, but I don't think killing me is what you really want. I think you want reciprocity. I think you're tired of living in the matrix, being told what to do, how to do it. You're frustrated about being on the hamster wheel of life and never getting ahead. I can help you. I'll give you back all the money your father gave. Plus, you can come work for me and see the world without blinders." Vanessa tilted her head to the side in astonishment. There was an uncomfortable silence before she finally said, "You might be right about it all, and I do have to believe in something, but it sure ain't gonna be your crooked ass." Jermaine smiled and said, "Okay, so what do you want?" To be continued. Thanks for watching. If you like the content, don't forget to hit like, subscribe, and share.